This is Keys to the Shop, episode 100. And today we're going to be talking about how you are the key. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Keys to the Shop. Well, not just another episode, but actually the 100th episode of Keys to the Shop, where for 100 shows now, we've been giving you insights, inspiration, and the tools you need to grow as a coffee service professional. And wow, it's kind of surreal to look back, and it seems like it's passed by very quickly since those really worried days in early January of 2017 when I was getting ready to launch the show. And just the response has been really fantastic, and it's so great to have been doing this and making a difference based on the feedback that I've been getting. It's just super humbling and motivating at the same time. Now, today we're going to be talking about something that I feel is, no surprise, key to your career, and probably to more than just your career, something that could be sort of a life skill that I think it undergirds sort of the point of this podcast in particular. We're going to be talking about how you are the key, and I'll explain a little bit more about what that means as we go forward here. But before we get started, of course, I do want to thank our sponsors. I am super grateful for the support of our sponsors here at Keys to the Shop. It wouldn't be possible to put in the time necessary to produce these shows and have them come together the way that they do without their support. So let's start by thanking Prima Coffee. So Prima Coffee, of course, is a specialty coffee equipment supplier. They're based out of Louisville, Kentucky, right here in my hometown, which I can say, I guess, after 4 years, it's my hometown. From the time that Prima started their company, they've set out to make the best coffee brewing equipment available to the general public and to professionals alike. Their focus is on curating the best equipment for every need, from grinders to espresso machines, under-counter refrigeration. So basically, home equipment and commercial equipment alike. So those of you listening who are getting ready to open another store and outfit it with equipment, or you want to upgrade what you have, or you're opening a store in the future, you should definitely look up Prima Coffee. They just put a big emphasis on having the expertise that's necessary to help their customers get the right gear for every situation. I definitely vouch for them and highly encourage you to go visit prima-coffee.com. That's prima-coffee.com, and see how they can help you set up your shop for success. Let them know that Keys to the Shop sent you. And again, thank you so much to Prima for their support over the course of this podcast. It really means a lot. And also, we want to thank our sponsor, Pacific Foods, the folks behind the Pacific Barista Series line of non-dairy performance beverages. And those are designed specifically for professional baristas and the standards for excellence that they demand. Whether it's almond, soy, coconut, rice, or oat milk, its ability to take the heat from steaming and produce an unmatched silky texture and keep the flavor balance focused on coffee at the same time. It makes it a perfect choice for your cafe's menu. So you're talking about a company here, Pacific, that has been a huge supporter of the specialty coffee community and industry, and they demonstrate their passion for the community by listening to and serving the needs of real specialty coffee professionals. So go to pacificfoods.com and learn more about how the Barista Series line of non-dairy performance beverages can help elevate your non-dairy offerings to your customers. I know it's going to make a big difference. It's a great product, and my sincere thanks to Pacific for their support of Keys to the Shop. Now, really quick, I want to tell you there is a giveaway. There is a giveaway happening on Instagram under the post for this episode. We're giving away a mini library, 3 books that I think are really critical for your success and really is a kind of a well-rounded offering. The fine folks at Prima Coffee have donated Colin Harmon's great book, What I Know About Running Coffee Shops. And you can listen to Colin's episode on this show, episode 22. For Founder Friday, we talked with him and we talked about his store and his book. Really fantastic episode. But Prima Coffee has donated that book to the prize, and I am also throwing in these two books. Bruce Tulgan's It's Okay to Be the Boss. And Bruce was also a guest on the show, and you can find his episode over at episode 28. So there's that book. And then the third I'm throwing in is, of course, Danny Meyer's Setting the Table. Now, Danny has not yet been on the show, but keep your fingers crossed one of these days, that'll be a reality. But that is a fantastic book as well. So Colin Harmon's book, What I Know About Running Coffee Shops, Bruce Tulgan's It's Okay to Be the Boss, and then Danny Meyer's Setting the Table. You've got a really practical, down-to-earth guide that's so intuitive and easy to read and very useful book in Colin's What I Know About Running Coffee Shops. Then you've got a step-by-step guide about how to be a great manager and leader and boss in the environment a lot of you are going to be or currently are in a position of authority. That's such a good book. And of course, Setting the Table is kind of the book that we look to a lot of times for standards in hospitality. So how do you win this prize? How do you get these three books? Well, first, you have to make sure that you're following Keys to the Shop and Prima Coffee on Instagram. Next, in the comment section for the post of this episode on the Keys to the Shop Instagram account, just leave a comment tagging a friend and also your favorite episode. Make a comment of what your favorite episode of Keys to the Shop was. You don't have to say why or anything like that. You can just list it out. I don't want to give you like a huge homework assignment. So follow Keys to the Shop and Prima Coffee, tag a friend under the post, and leave a comment that states what your favorite episode out of the 100 episodes of Keys to the Shop has been. And we'll be drawing for that on Thursday the 19th. And there'll just be a random drawing, and whoever wins, it's a great prize. So thanks, Prima, for generously donating Colin Harmon's book, and good luck to all of you in entering this little competition. So yeah, great little way to celebrate. Okay, so let's get into the meat of today's message. What I want to talk about is this. The subject is, you are the key. Now, I want you to know that as useful as a podcast can be, and I've heard from so many that Keys to the Shop has been helpful to them. All that I do, or all that anybody does, is draw from their experiences over the years, as well as from the resource of the community. We draw from the expertise that exists now out there in the coffee community, and to put it on a platform as a podcast. And some may put it into a video format. Some may put it into a book or something else, a blog. Now, this is how you come across information that helps you. Just sort of collected and curated information that presented to you at the right time really makes a difference for what you need, for what your circumstance is. But what I want to say about that is myself, just like anybody else, can sort of outsource our identity and our security based on the resources that we collect for ourselves. What percentage of your security as a professional comes from Keys to the Shop or Cat and Cloud or Barista Hustle or the SCA standards and things like that. We have an array of different resources that we look to keep us on track, to inspire us. And in doing that, what I've done in the past, and I know that this probably is something that all of us have done at one point or another, is discounted our own intuition and our own experiences, and in sort of created an environment where we don't trust ourselves, where we don't really think that we have much to offer, so we seek and seek and seek, and we consume over and over again in hopes that we'll get a better feeling about where we are and where we stand, etc. So, this is one of the things that is a trap, I think, in our consumer culture where we collect a lot of stuff, but we never really fully use it or never trust ourselves enough to say, no, I actually don't need that. I love that you listen to Keys to the Shop. But if Keys to the Shop is an impediment toward you actually going out there and doing something in the community, and you're just addicted to continuing, getting more education and more education, maybe just another episode and another confirmation that, I'm going in the right direction, then I would rather you stop listening and go do. Procrastination can take the form of piety. You're very studied and very well versed in all of the truth that is out there and all of the opinions and approaches. But if you never make an imperfect first step toward investing in yourself and your community, it's not going to be satisfying. It's not going to amount to much in the end, except for, a lot of downloads and a lot of, subscriptions and things like that. So all that to say, you are the one who brings vitality, and you cannot just outsource your identity to resources. You have to be the resource. You are a walking story. You have resources in your head and heart that the community benefits from when we get to know it. And again, all I do, or all anybody does who curates information, is pull it from existing sources in the community, repackage it in an easy-to-consume way, and give it out to you. And it comes at the right time. And it's such a pleasure to be able to do that. But don't think that you can't do that in the microcosm that is your cafe or your coffee community. I want to read a letter that was sent to me by a listener who's a fan of the show. His name is Thor Himmel. He is the co-founder, along with Liz Chai, over at the Portland Coffee Social Club. So go check them out, see what they're up to. But Thor is a store manager at Portland Roasting Coffee. And I want to read part of an email that he recently sent me as I was thinking about what to put out here in this episode. This email came, and it really was confirmation that I was on the right track in the way I was thinking about things. So I'll just read the first part here. He says, Chris, I really love your show. Your book recommendations and your episode about the 10 steps to becoming a people-first leader has made me a better manager. You can just ask Eva Attia. Eva is the retail manager over at Portland Roasting Coffee. She was also a guest on the show back in episode 13 called Leadership and Management Masterclass. Eva actually prescribes that episode, the 10 steps to becoming a people-first leader, to everybody that she oversees at Portland Roasting Coffee as part of the curriculum for management there now, which is super humbling and awesome. So anyway, he says, you can just ask Eva Attia about how often I talk about Danny Meyer and Bruce Tulgan in our monthly manager meetings. I love working in coffee, and I don't think I could ever be as happy in a different industry. I feel like coffee can be one of the most inclusive communities if intentionally planned and well executed. Building sense of community around your cafe and the greater organization that you work for is a common theme in a lot of the Keys to the Shop episodes, but I think you're just scratching the surface of how joining the organization of the third wave retailers better benefits the specialty coffee in your own town. In my experience, we as managers and owners tend to haul up in our cafes and aren't exposed to what other shops are up to, or worse, view everyone else as competition. That's true. He says, I love talking to customers about what other shops they frequent and don't feel threatened. I encourage my baristas to go to meetups, competitions, and cuppings as often as possible. And I've noticed that doing this creates confidence in our coffees, appreciation for what others are doing, and reduces turnover. As the saying goes, a rising tide raises all boats. So thanks a lot, Thor, for the email. Thanks for being a fan of the show. I really think he hit the nail on the head here. So taking that email as sort of a truth that we should be involved in our communities more and make a purposeful effort to plug into what are other cafes doing, what are other baristas doing and managers and things like that, because left to our own devices, we're probably more likely to, clock out and go home, and we develop an image of what it's like to work at another shop. And, let's be honest, what image we come up with is usually self-aggrandizing, and also to them, it's, we imagine that they're worse than we are. Or the opposite, maybe you imagine they're far better than they actually are because you don't like where you are. There's nothing like finding out where you stand officially by pulling back the curtain and getting to know the people involved in those places that are only ideas in your head. Is very valuable. One of the keys to making it valuable, though, one of the major parts of community that is absolutely necessary to make it worthwhile is the idea of seeking to be a resource and a mentor to other people and to provide a depth to the interactions and not just to keep it surface level. That's where we're coming back to what I was talking about in the beginning of this episode, how you are the key to the shop. You are a resource. And what I do is, again, pull the resources from the community and present them in a podcast. You might not think that you have inspiration or insights or tools to give people, just like the tagline of this show goes, but you absolutely do. When I first started as a barista, when I first started as a trainer, I should say, I didn't think that I could articulate the things that I knew how to do, but when put in an uncomfortable position of needing to do that, I found that I could find the words when it became a necessity. When you put yourself out there and you go to an event, I would encourage you to think of yourself not just as somebody who's maybe trying to get something from the community, which is fine. I think you should seek resource, but also as somebody who has something to offer and can, with confidence and not pride, it's not pride, with confidence and humility, offer that to somebody as you engage. So how do I know that you can be a mentor? How do I know that you can, no matter where you are in the industry, you know a little bit more and you've experienced a little bit more than somebody else? And if you're absolutely brand new, you can go with the idea that your potential and your excitement for the industry can inspire somebody else, can give just momentum to somebody else's place where they might be feeling like giving up, and they see the passion in you and they want to continue on because of it. Here's how I know that you have something to offer. I don't care who you are in the industry, how long you've worked there, what your position is. If I had you as a guest on this show and I asked you the right questions, I guarantee you at some point somebody would tell me, hey, you know that episode where you had Beth on the show and she said that thing? That was really, I needed to hear that day, and it really encouraged me to keep going with what I was doing, or it kind of made sense to me, and it made clear something that I hadn't really thought of before. Everybody who's on this show is just an ordinary person. They work in coffee, they've done it long enough, they've got some experience and expertise, and I want you to think of yourself as the key to somebody else's problem, the key to somebody else's career. You are a resource. You can give insight. You can see a problem that others can't see past, or you can be a sounding board for a problem and help them see past that problem. Maybe you've experienced it before and you know what to do next, and you can offer it to them. And you can be an inspiration. You can give people strength when they lose strength, and you can give them a reason to go on when they are full of reasons to not go on. They're isolated maybe and embarrassed. They have perfectionism and pride. You can give them inspiration to push past that and not give up, and provide a gentle pressure and camaraderie that really enhances the community. You also tools are another part of this. As you go on in the industry, your mind automatically arranges the information that you have and creates little tips and rules and tricks that you use. Maybe you haven't previously had an opportunity to articulate these things, but in the presence of another person in the industry, and you're talking about it, all of a sudden, if you make an effort to try to articulate what it is that you do that makes you successful at that one thing, or employee reviews, or latte art, anywhere in between, you'll find that you do know how to articulate it, and you'll get better at it as you go. You have the ability to codify the internal intuition that you've picked up, no matter how long you've worked in coffee. So again, the community is fantastic. I've got to experience so many different views and conversations and interactions over the course of 100 episodes of the show. And over the next 100 episodes, I expect to be able to just discover more about the community and have my perspective broadened, and also provide you with resources that will give you those insights, inspiration, and tools that we talk about at the beginning of every show. I want you to take this as a shot in the arm to say, I believe in you. I know just from interacting with so many different coffee professionals of different experiences over the years, you have what somebody else needs. And you also can seek with purpose resource that will help you get what you need. And that's what you're doing by listening to this show. And that's fantastic. As Lisa Farr on Map It Forward podcast, we just did episode 14 on her show. I was a guest recently. She has talked about how we need to conspire to our own success and also to the success of others. That's a mutual thing. So you take a purposeful step in providing for your own advancement in listening to this show and reading books and seeking out mentorship. You also can write a book. You can be a mentor. You can say a phrase or a word or have a conversation with somebody and step out on a limb and say, I want to be that resource. You have a platform. You absolutely do. I have a podcast that officially has reached 106 countries, if you count just the one download. It's just bizarre. It's really fascinating to see the reach of this platform. And I can think of no better thing to say in use of my platform, as far as it goes, to say, mobilize yourself in your circle of influence, on your platform, in the microcosm of your shop and community, to do what Lisa Farr says and conspire to the success of others and to yourself. Go be a resource and give insights, inspiration, and tools to people in your community. So when you go to that meetup and that throwdown, when you go to a trade show or just your next shift, whenever it is that you find yourself face to face with somebody else in the industry, conspire. Look for ways to give insights, inspiration, and tools. I'm going to be doing that here as long as I possibly can on Keys to the Shop. And I sit here and I say that you are keys to the shop. And that is a true statement. As maybe sappy as it sounds, I absolutely believe it. So thank you, everybody, for joining me on the show today, and also for listening, commenting, rating the show on iTunes, sending in your emails, recommending the show to your friends and family. I truly appreciate all of you, and I have so much confidence in our industry, and I can't wait for the next 100 episodes to unfold. We've got some great ones coming up. Of course, if you want the show notes for this episode, you can go to keystotheshop.com. On the sidebar, you can just put your email address in, and you'll be signed up to receive the show notes delivered to your inbox on a weekly basis. And then they'll also have news from Keys to the Shop and Keys to the Shop Consulting. And don't forget about the Instagram competition. You want to win those 3 books. It's Okay to Be the Boss, What I Know About Running Coffee Shops, and Setting the Table. Nice little mini key to success library, if you will. You can just follow Keys to the Shop and Prima Coffee. Leave a comment under the post at Keys to the Shop, and make sure you tag a friend and say what your favorite episode of the show is. We'll be drawing the winner of the competition on the 19th. I would also like to remind you that Coffee Fest is coming up in LA. That's August 19th through the 21st at the Los Angeles Convention Center. This is the first time and won't be the last time that Coffee Fest is doing their show in conjunction with the Western Food Service and Hospitality Show and the Healthy Food Expo. So that one badge gets you into all 3 shows. Coffee Fest is the best trade show that you can go to as a retailer. There's a ton of free lectures and affordable trainings that you can partake in at different tracks of different subjects. So I would highly encourage you, go to coffeefest.com, learn more about the LA show. If you can't make it to LA, it's coming to New York next year as well as Indianapolis. So I'll be there presenting some lectures as well as judging latte art. And I would love to see you and meet you, talk about coffee and whatever else. And yeah, so hopefully I'll get to see you there. So that wraps up this 100th episode of Keys to the Shop. And stay tuned next week as we have episode 101. That's going to be a really fascinating one. That's actually, you could call that like Retail Law 101, because we're talking with Marshall Fuss, attorney at law, who also is the general counsel to the SCAA and the World Coffee Events, as well as Coffee Quality Institute, about avoiding legal pitfalls in the retail shop. So you're not going to want to miss that one. Go this week. Be encouraged. Go be Keys to the Shop in your community. Use the platform that you have with the resource and knowledge that you absolutely have in you to help affect positively the community. Plug yourself into that community and conspire to each other's success. Thank you for listening, and I hope that this episode, as always, has truly given you keys to the shop.